Okay, so why are we so likely to form illusory correlations? Well, for one thing, we focus on hits and we ignore misses. Hits are when we're right. This video here is an illustration I like to show in class where John Edward, who is supposedly a medium who can talk to the dead, throws out so many statements. He says so many things that pretty soon you start forgetting all the things he's said and you can't even pay attention to all the misses. He has said so many things and been wrong so many times that by the time he finally hits on something where he's right, that's the only thing that's really noticeable, because that's when he finally slows down. That's when he finally starts talking about something. It's a good illustration of how people can start to believe that he has psychic powers because they focus on the times he's right and they ignore the times that he's been wrong. If we look at psychics in general, what we need to look at is whether they predicted the event or not, and then whether the event ended up occurring or not. What we tend to focus on is the yes, yes box, where they predicted it and it happened. But what about the times when they predicted it and it didn't happen? Or they didn't predict it and it did happen? What about those things? But we never ask questions about that. We focus on the hits and we ignore the misses. Partly that's because we really want to believe in things. We really want there to be magic. We really want to be able to talk to the dead. We want to believe in these kinds of things. But it's also, we focus on the hits because some events are one-sided and some events are two-sided. And one-sided events are a lot more noticeable. There's one side that's more noticeable. Like, for example, you just washed your car. Don't you wish this was your car? It's kind of cool looking. You just washed your car and then it rains. Now, I love this example because, here in Western Washington, it rains a lot. But it is particularly galling when you've just washed your car and then it rains. You're like, did I make it rain? I just washed my car. How did this happen? Well, that's the kind of thing where you notice it on one side. I just washed my car and then it rained. You don't notice it on the other side where all the times you didn't wash your car and it rains. You don't notice that. Or all the times that you washed your car and it didn't rain. You don't notice that. Or you're in the shower and the phone rings. You don't notice all the showers you've taken uninterruptedly. You don't notice all the times that the phone rang and you're not in the shower. You do notice the times that you're in the shower and the phone rings. Or you're running up to the elevator and it's just closing to depart when you arrive, and that's noticeable. You don't notice all the times that, well, it wasn't even there and you just had to wait for it to come. Or, wow, it was here when I got here. That's fun. Nobody, those just aren't as noticeable. The two-sided events where both outcomes are equally noticeable are much less likely to cause us to draw, these illusory correlations where some kind of magic or special thing happened. So why else do we form illusory correlations? We don't notice all the relevant information all the time. Sometimes we're focused in on one part of the evidence and we ignore other parts of the evidence. And when I say us, it's not just us. It's scientists. I was going to say I didn't think it was a video, but it turns out it's a not working thing altogether. It had a little news report on cats surviving falls from as high as 32 stories up. Now, these were not cats who were thrown out the window. These were cats who fell and then were taken to the vet. Of the 132 cats that were taken to the vet after having fallen, only 8 of them died. So when this was reported, people started talking about all sorts of interesting stuff. They started generating explanations like, well, it must be the laws of physics. There's something about the cat's weight ratio to drag ratio, and maybe it's because of their superior balance, because how they always land on their feet, and maybe that's some kind of special trick that protects them as they fall. Maybe they use some kind of flying squirrel tactic where they kind of put their arms out and it causes a flap of skin to sort of, slow their descent or something like that. How about this? 132 cats fell, only 8 died. So presumably all 132 were alive when they got there, right? Most people whose cats fall from a building and then die on impact don't take those cats to the vet. right? The cat died of its fall, and then it was, disposed of however the family took care of it. Of the 132 that fell, only 8 died. Of the 132 who were taken to the vet, only 8 died. So maybe there's nothing magical about cats and their falling. Maybe it's just that if you are lucky enough to be alive when you make it to the vet, your probability of survival is really high. It has nothing to do with any of these explanations that I provided. How about a different group of scientists? NASA. Okay, so NASA was trying to decide whether it was safe to launch the shuttle Challenger on a particularly cold morning in Florida. So they analyzed all the failures that they'd ever had at liftoff, and they looked at the different temperatures, how many failures had occurred at different temperatures, and they kind of came to the conclusion it looks like, man, it's almost, it doesn't matter what the temperature is. Even it looks like the hotter temperatures, there's a higher probability of failure. So they came to the conclusion temperature doesn't matter. So they launched the shuttle Challenger, and if you here's another way of depicting the same data. And if you